My name is Yun Qing, daughter of General Yun and heir to one of the most influential families in the realm. This is the story of how my entire family decided to simply stop caring. When the new emperor cast me aside to marry his childhood love, we discovered something rather remarkable about ourselves. We were exceptionally talented at doing absolutely nothing when the empire needed us most. The emperor abandoned me and wed his first love instead. From that moment forward, my entire family embraced what one might call a philosophy of strategic indifference. When barbarians breached the frontier defenses, my father declared his chronic ailments had flared beyond endurance, simply impossible to rise from bed. When lawlessness plagued the capital streets, my elder brother announced he was taking his long-overdue annual leave. Please, do not disturb. When the treasury ran dry of funds, my mother claimed poverty. Terribly sorry, unable to lend a single coin. The new emperor flew into a towering rage. What manner of worthless creatures are you? I have plenty of capable people at my disposal. Very well then, we continued our campaign of magnificent indolence. Later events proved rather illuminating. The emperor dispatched his beloved's eldest brother to face the enemy. The poor man nearly lost his life. He assigned her second brother to investigate mysterious cases. Within 3 days, the fellow was frightened witless. As for his darling's mother, in her desperate attempts to maintain her daughter's imperial dignity, she borrowed herself into utter destitution. The day before Qinbai ascended the dragon throne, his childhood sweetheart returned to the capital. The following morning, without so much as a word of explanation, he proclaimed Chu Ying as empress before the entire court, grinding my family's dignity beneath his imperial boot. "Mother, shall we still enter the palace gates?" I asked with a yawn. Before dawn had broken, she had roused me from slumber, arranged my hair in elaborate coils, and seated me in our main hall to wait, insisting we must not lose face. Who could have anticipated that after an entire morning's vigil, we would receive such delightful news? "Enter! Enter what?" My mother's eyes blazed crimson with fury. "Does he dare play such games of bridge burning with me? If I don't strip them down to their very bones, then I'm no daughter of the Luo family." Our household steward appeared in the great hall's doorway. "Madam, the Empress Dowager has arrived. She awaits outside our gates. Shall I bid her enter?" The Empress Dowager's full name was Chen Xian. She had been my mother's dearest friend since girlhood, and indeed, it was through their enthusiastic conversations that my betrothal to Qinbai had been arranged. She holds the title of Empress Dowager, while I am merely the wife of a general. What audacity would I possess to bar her entry? Quickly now, accompany me to receive her properly. My mother's laughter carried a glacial edge as she rose from her chair. Before she could take 2 steps, the Empress Dowager swept through our doors, accompanied by her retinue of palace maids and eunuchs. "Sister, such formal words create distance between us. We grew up together from childhood. Our bond runs far deeper than ordinary friendships." The Empress Dowager entered with radiant smiles, reaching for my mother's hands. "This humble woman dares not accept such familiar address from your majesty. Empress Dowager, please take the seat of honor." My mother withdrew her hands and knelt in formal obeisance. I followed her lead in paying proper respects. Witnessing this display, the Empress Dowager released a helpless sigh before settling into the principal chair. This matter was truly handled poorly by my son. To proclaim an empress without first consulting the Yun family was inexcusable. Before arriving here, I gave him a thorough scolding. "Please, sister and dear Chinger, do not harbor resentment." The Empress Dowager seated herself properly and spoke words of comfort. With a single sentence, she effectively silenced the accusations my mother had been preparing to voice. "Since events have reached this pass, how does your majesty propose to resolve matters?" my mother inquired. fixing her with a steady gaze. The proclamation of an empress cannot be treated as child's play. Now that it has been announced throughout the realm, no changes are possible. We can only ask dear Chinger to accept the position of noble consort. The Empress Dowager shook her head with apparent regret, her eyes brimming with contrition. You intend to force us to accept this as an accomplished fact? My mother asked, her voice low and dangerous. Sister, please don't speak of it in such harsh terms. My son's heart was already claimed, and he acted with single-minded determination. I never anticipated this development. Since it has become reality, I hope you can find it in yourselves to be understanding. Can we not all live harmoniously as one family? One family? Then what exactly does the Chu clan represent? You expect my daughter to suffer humiliation for everyone else's happiness? Impossible! My mother's temper finally erupted. Luo Yunjin, do not imagine that because I address you as sister, you may ignore the natural order. This realm now belongs to my son. My presence here today already demonstrates considerable respect for your family. The Empress Dowager's imperial dignity had been challenged, and her pleasant facade crumbled entirely. I advise you to accept this noble consort position with grace. Young Qing has long been betrothed to my son. Should this engagement be dissolved, I wonder who under heaven would dare marry her. The threat hung heavy in the air between them. That need not concern your majesty. While I, Luo Yunjin, possess no other talents, I certainly know how to earn money. Even if Chinger never marries, I can provide for her throughout her life. My mother refused to yield ground. Excellent, truly excellent, Luo Yunjin. My son's ascension to the throne owes much to your family's efforts, but do not presume we cannot manage without you. This path is of your own choosing. When regret comes, do not expect to find me receptive to your pleading. The Empress Dowager's words rang with finality as she departed in a storm of silk sleeves. Noble consort? How prettily phrased! She speaks of nothing more than a concubine's role. If she expects my daughter to accept such a position, she indulges in wishful thinking. After the Empress Dowager's departure, my mother sent me to rest. When I awoke, darkness had begun to gather outside. Upon entering our main hall for the evening meal, I discovered both my father and elder brother present, a pleasant surprise. Father, weren't you supposed to return to the frontier tomorrow, and weren't you planning to gather with your old comrades tonight? Why have you returned home? I asked, then turned to my brother with equal curiosity. Brother, the Court of Judicial Review has been overwhelmed with cases recently. Haven't you been residing there for half a month? What brings you home? Your father's old ailment has flared terribly. I cannot return to the frontier. I shall remain home to spend more time with our dear Chinger. Would that please you? My father gazed at me with tender affection. Naturally, I was delighted and nodded enthusiastically. In 5 years, at the Court of Judicial Review, I have not taken a single day of rest. I find myself weary now and wish to recuperate at home for a few days. My brother spoke with his characteristic gravity. Since he had begun investigating cases, his demeanor had grown increasingly stern. Even at home, we seldom witnessed him display genuine pleasure. I found myself wondering whether his serious disposition would ever allow him to marry and provide me with a sister-in-law. Enough idle chatter. It's rare for our family to dine together. Come, everyone be seated. My mother's words brought us all to table promptly. Within moments, my bowl overflowed with delicacies. My father's chopsticks moved constantly, selecting my favorite dishes while never touching his own food. Even my increasingly inscrutable elder brother added some celery to my bowl, despite knowing my profound dislike for that particular vegetable. Observing my mother's composed exterior, which barely concealed her underlying heartache, I understood their intentions perfectly. I had been betrothed to Qinbai since my 8th year. 7 years had passed since then. During every festival celebration, the Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, we had shared these occasions together. I had witnessed his transformation from a refined youth into the young emperor he had become. To claim I harbored no feelings would be dishonest. After all, I had been constantly reminded by everyone around me that he was my destined husband, my lifelong companion. Yet this same person had betrayed me without warning or explanation. Neither father, mother, nor elder brother spoke of it, and I had no desire to mention Qinbai's name and invite unnecessary pain. We concluded our family reunion dinner in warmth and contentment. The following day, however, brought a eunuch from the palace bearing an imperial summons. The emperor wished to see me. In the imperial study, I knelt in formal greeting. Your humble subject Yun Qing pays respects to His Majesty. Long live the emperor. Rise, dear Qing'er, such formality is unnecessary. Qinbai immediately descended from the dragon throne, hurrying to assist me to my feet. Once standing, I discreetly withdrew my arm and stepped back 2 paces. Are you angry with me, Qing'er? Qinbai inquired directly. Your humble subject would not dare harbor such feelings. As the Son of Heaven, your Majesty stands above all others beneath heaven. Naturally, you may marry whomever you choose. Your subject would not presume to question imperial decisions. I kept my eyes lowered as I responded. Qinbai released a helpless sigh, preparing to speak further, when a eunuch announced the arrival of Chu Ying. What brings her here? Qinbai's voice carried urgent concern. He immediately strode toward the entrance, his pace quickening until he nearly ran. Your constitution is delicate. When you wish to see me, simply send word and I shall come to you. Why exhaust yourself with such journeys? Qinbai's voice, heavy with tender concern, drifted back to me. Turning, I beheld Chu Ying, resplendent in phoenix robes, leaning weakly against his chest. Your Majesty manages countless affairs daily. How could Yinger dare impose upon your precious time? This morning you departed so hastily from breakfast, and last night you labored so late into the evening. Yinger worried for your health and personally prepared some pastries in the small kitchen. Her voice flowed like silk, melodious and touching enough to stir pity in any listener, myself included. The pair lingered in the doorway, lost in tender exchanges, before finally remembering my presence. Sister Yun, when did you arrive? Your Majesty, why didn't you inform me of her presence? Chu Ying's tone carried playful reproach as she tapped Qinbai's arm lightly. Qinbai captured her hand with evident pleasure, his laughter genuine as he escorted her to where I waited. Qing'er, this is Yinger, daughter of the Minister of Rights and now my Empress. I remained silent, offering Qinbai nothing more than an indifferent glance. His expression immediately grew uncomfortable. Does your Majesty expect me to pay formal respects to Her Majesty the Empress? I inquired with deliberate mildness. No, he replied, unable to meet my eyes. I glanced briefly at Chu Ying, whose smile froze upon her lips. Your Majesty speaks correctly. Sister Yun's status far exceeds mine. How could I expect such courtesy? Chu Ying quickly restored her radiant expression, addressing me directly. We encountered each other several times in our youth. Does sister remember little Yinger? Qing'er, you were acquainted with Yinger? Qinbai's surprise was evident as he looked between us. Your Majesty's status is far too elevated for this humble subject to claim acquaintance. My response carried clear distance. My father held the specially granted rank of first-class Duke and Grand General, while her father had been merely a 5th-rank clerk, later promoted to 3rd-rank minister solely through his daughter's imperial marriage. By birth and family background, our paths should never have crossed. However, both our mothers operated commercial establishments within the capital. Her mother, being native to the capital with generations of accumulated assets, proved a formidable local competitor. My mother, despite her capabilities, found herself evenly matched against this entrenched rival. Their businesses frequently clashed over prime locations and customer bases. Chu Ying and I had indeed met several times as children, invariably during moments when our mothers were at each other's throats. She had never shown me kindness, nor had I bothered to acknowledge her existence. How remarkable that after all these years, I should encounter her gracious smiles within the imperial palace. Sister speaks so formally. What meaning do such words carry? Chu Ying approached as though blind to my coldness, reaching for my arm. Physical contact from strangers has always disturbed me. As I moved to withdraw, Chu Ying suddenly swayed and collapsed dramatically to the floor. I understand that Sister's mother bears no love for mine, and that Sister herself harbors dislike for me. Yet I am no longer the helpless daughter of a minor fifth-rank official for Sister to bully at will. I am now the Empress. How dare Sister push me? When exactly had I pushed her? Was her intelligence deteriorating with age? Even if I have usurped Sister's rightful place as Empress, thereby wronging her, this was His Majesty's decree. Is Sister expressing dissatisfaction with His Majesty's decisions? Chu Ying clutched her chest, painting a picture of pitiful accusation. Qin Bai knelt beside her with evident distress, supporting her as he raised furious eyes to me. Yunqing, I was truly blind. Yesterday, when Mother returned to the palace speaking of dissolution, I refused her counsel out of consideration for our shared history. I had intended to emulate previous dynasties by establishing Eastern and Western empresses of equal status. You would not have been required to kneel before Yinger or accept subordinate rank. I never imagined you possessed such vicious nature. He pointed directly at my nose in his fury. Observing his accusing finger, I nearly succumbed to the urge to respond with profanity. His earlier words rang true indeed. I had never previously noticed the extent of his blindness. Such an obvious false collapse performed directly before his eyes, yet he remained utterly deceived. Could such a man possibly maintain his hold on imperial power? And his notion of dual empresses, what magnificent audacity! This subject did not push her. If your Majesty refuses to believe this, then dissolve our betrothal. Even should you beat me to death, I will never accept such false accusations. My voice remained level and unyielding. Qin Bai stared at me, his chest heaving with anger. As he prepared to speak, another eunuch rushed in, whispering urgently in his ear. After several moments, he raised his head to glare at me. "Leave! Get out of my sight immediately!" I departed without a backward glance. At the palace gates, I discovered my parents and elder brother waiting beside our carriage. During our journey home, my mother seemed to struggle with unspoken words. I patted her hand gently. "Mother, all is well. Anything that can be stolen away was worthless to begin with." My words finally allowed her to release the breath she had been holding. 2 days after my return from the palace, Qin Bai issued an official decree dissolving our betrothal. He branded me with accusations of jealousy and unworthiness, everything short of directly calling me a shrew. Subsequently, daughters from various noble houses began extending frequent invitations to social gatherings. Understanding the insatiable gossip appetites of these idle noblewomen, I declined to provide them with entertainment, regardless of my inner feelings. I instructed my mother to refuse all such invitations graciously. My maternal grandmother's 80th birthday approached conveniently. I secluded myself at home for half a month, creating an elaborate embroidered scroll featuring 100 variations of the longevity character. I had assumed this matter would gradually fade with time, but instead, the situation intensified dramatically. Though I remained the injured party in this broken engagement, popular rumors began painting Qinbai and Chu Ying as star-crossed lovers whose childhood devotion had been cruelly separated, while I became the calculating third party who had used my father's influence to force an unwanted marriage. Such complete distortion of truth defied belief. Madam, the Empress has sent an invitation requesting your presence and the young ladies at tomorrow's 100 Flowers banquet in the palace. During our midday meal, our steward entered with obvious reluctance. While my mother might have deflected ordinary social invitations using my father's official status, imperial summons proved far more difficult to evade. I could easily guess Chu Ying's motives for this sudden entertainment. My father's claimed illness had prevented his return to the frontier. 3 days later, Chu Ying's elder brother Chu Feng received appointment as cavalry general, replacing my father at the front lines. Her second brother, Chu Ji, had also assumed my brother's former position as deputy minister of the Court of Judicial Review. Even without provocation, Chu Ying would manufacture reasons to torment me. With such an excellent opportunity to humiliate me publicly, how could she possibly resist? Mother, perhaps I should feign illness. These past days had been genuinely pleasant. My father had been creating culinary delights specifically for my enjoyment, while my brother occasionally arranged for various eccentric scholars and artists to send amusing trinkets my way. Life at home had become quite delightful. Only my mother faced daily frustrations through her business obligations. Whether I attended the imperial palace mattered little to me personally, but I refused to subject my mother to further humiliation on my behalf. The thought of her enduring Chu Ying's mother, Bai Xinrou's condescension, filled me with indignation. Feign what illness? Absolutely not. Mother has been wondering where to seek satisfaction for the wrongs you've suffered. Who would have imagined they'd be foolish enough to deliver themselves into our hands? My mother struck the table decisively. Your grandfather served as teacher to virtually every third-rank official and above in the current court. Your grandmother descended from Jiangnan's wealthiest merchant family. Your father commands 800,000 troops. I, your mother, operate successful businesses throughout the empire, everywhere except the capital, where that Bai Xinrou holds slight advantage over me. Should Chen Jian and Qin Bai dare permit that Chu girl to mistreat you, I shall ensure they regret such folly. My mother rose with determination, clearly harboring considerable suppressed resentment. Madam, please calm yourself, my father soothed, rising to comfort her with gentle back-patting. Mother, no need for such anger. The Chu family will soon bring about their own destruction, my brother observed with characteristic inscrutability, remaining seated. Chinger, you must not feign illness tomorrow. This 100 Flowers banquet absolutely must be attended. Avoiding it would mean losing a precious opportunity to witness comedy. He rarely smiled, but the barely perceptible satisfaction playing at the corners of his mouth sent an odd chill through me. My brother's predictions had never failed to materialize. The following day, I accompanied my mother into the palace as requested. The 100 Flowers banquet proved every bit as theatrical as anticipated. My mother and I arrived fashionably late, finding virtually every family of third rank and above already assembled. Upon our entrance, numerous gazes, some mocking, others pitying, tracked our movement. However, as we approached and the assembly noted the quality of our garments and jewelry, those expressions transformed into pure envy and longing. Thank you for your service in guiding us, honored sir, a small token of appreciation. My mother casually produced a South Sea pearl of exceptional size, tossing it to our escort. The little eunuch caught it gratefully, immediately kowtowing in thanks. Rather than departing after his formal thanks, He lingered hopefully beside us, clearly angling for continued service. Not only he, but other palace servants throughout the imperial garden began eyeing us with barely concealed anticipation. This display infuriated many of our fellow guests beyond endurance. Mere vulgar wealth, what cause for such ostentation? The speaker was the Minister of Revenue's wife, who maintained close association with Chu Ying's mother. If you possess such capability, please demonstrate it yourself. Your daily penny pinching prevents you from rewarding even a single gold coin. What face do you have to criticize me? My mother's contempt was withering. You what? A mere third-rank minister's wife dares display such insolence before me? Failing to offer proper respects upon seeing me, showing complete disregard for social hierarchy. Do you seek to violate imperial law? My mother's authority was absolute. The woman's mouth twisted with fury, her pointing finger trembling with speechless rage. Come now, such beautiful weather hardly warrants anger over trifling matters. A voice like gentle wind interrupted, unmistakably by Shinro attempting to play peacemaker. She would need my mother's cooperation for such mediation to succeed. Indeed, birds of a feather flock together, as do dogs with their packs. I truly shouldn't lower myself to argue with animals. My mother adjusted her ruby hairpin with deliberate elegance. What did you say? Bai Shinro's expression darkened considerably. Nothing significant. I simply enjoy others' helpless frustration when they disapprove of me, yet can do nothing about it. My mother took my hand, guiding me toward the main banquet area without sparing them another glance. Bah! Nothing but a family of useless parasites clinging to empty titles. Let's see how long your arrogance lasts. The Minister of Revenue's wife spat from her seat, positioned 2 or 3 places behind my mother's assigned location due to her inferior rank. Her elevated placement resulted solely from Bai Shinro's intervention through Chu Ying. Which mongrel dares bark so loudly? My mother's casual comment never required her to turn around, yet it nearly drove the other woman to overturning furniture in her rage. I observed this exchange with considerable admiration for my mother's combat effectiveness. I had clearly underestimated her capabilities. The banquet commenced with musical flourishes, bringing the expected chorus of flattery directed toward Chu Ying and her mother. Guests praised her brother's competence while making subtle comparisons that elevated the Chu family by diminishing ours. Chu Ying and her mother basked in such adulation, practically glowing with satisfaction. My mother and I maintained complete indifference to these external voices, focusing entirely on the cuisine before us. Mother, these shrimp lack the flavor of father's preparation. I agree completely, dear. My mother nodded in pleasant accord. Our culinary discussion continued enthusiastically until an interrupting voice shattered our contentment. Yunqing, why have your father and elder brother remained housebound for so many days? Are they perhaps unwell? The speaker required my immediate attention to maintain civility. Mind your tongue. I turned to identify the speaker, Chu Ying's close companion Bai Rong. Why? Does speaking the truth offend you? Your mother's only talent lies in that sharp tongue of hers, doesn't it? Bai Rong's malice was thinly veiled. The entire capital whispers that your father's chronic ailments have worsened beyond recovery. He hasn't many days remaining. As for your elder brother, when that evil spirit murder case emerged in the capital, he immediately retreated home. Several Court of Judicial Review officials let slip that your brother was frightened witless by that evil spirit. He invented excuses to return home, and now no one knows where his soul has wandered. Bai Rong's voice grew louder with each word, culminating in gleeful laughter. Her commentary attracted surrounding attention, inspiring additional mockery from those who resented our family. particularly the Minister of Revenue's wife, whose laughter proved most vicious. After delivering her performance, Bai Rong approached Chu Ying, pouring wine and presenting it graciously. Your Majesty's elder brother serves as cavalry general, defending our borders as a true hero. Your second brother courageously accepted responsibility at the Court of Judicial Review, boldly investigating evil spirit cases for the people's benefit, truly admirable and respectable. How vastly superior to that nest of weaklings, invalids, and madmen in the Yun household. Ronger, your words go too far. Chu Ying's mild reproof contradicted the knowing look in her eyes and her acceptance of the offered wine. Understanding this subtle encouragement, other guests began cataloging our family's supposed failures. My mother listened silently, mentally recording every person who spoke ill of my father and brother. Enough, everyone return to your places. Bai Shinro intervened with perfect timing, approaching my mother's side. She habitually played the benevolent mediator in public. This situation provided ideal opportunity for such performance. Sister Luo, we've competed for years. I always hoped to surpass you, but I never imagined your family would fall to such pitiable depths. Truly tragic. Despite our rivalry, I've always felt kinship with you. I wish I could bear your suffering in your stead. Bai Shinro dabbed at non-existent tears with her handkerchief, offering false comfort. You truly wish to suffer in my place? My mother's tone carried ominous undertones. I do wish it, but heaven won't permit such substitution. Heaven sees all, distinguishing good from evil. Wrongdoers inevitably face retribution. With your husband's numbered days and your son's madness, don't you think this represents divine justice? Well, Sister Luo? Bai Shinro used her handkerchief to conceal her uncontrollably rising smile while delivering this poisonous comfort. My mother smiled in return. I too believe heaven sees all. Tonight I shall return home to offer proper prayers of gratitude. Bai Shinro's smile froze as she stared at my mother in disbelief. Have you gone mad? No, but you shall. My mother's smile held dark promise. Her words had scarcely faded when a eunuch burst through the entrance, gasping with urgency. Your Majesty, summon the imperial physicians immediately. General Chufeng lies near death outside the city gates. The guards have just carried him into the palace. Before his announcement ended, a household servant rushed in behind him. Madam, return home quickly. Young Master Chuji collapsed while investigating a case. Upon awakening, he calls every person father. The old master nearly died of shock. What are you saying? Bai Shinro approached them with disbelief. General Chu Feng suffered severe injuries and requires immediate imperial physician attention, or his life may be lost. The eunuch caught his breath before continuing urgently. Madam, the second young master appears to have been frightened senseless. You should— The servant's explanation was cut short by Bai Shinro's vicious slap. The force left his cheek swollen and red. Spreading false rumors! Where are your family's proper manners? She raged at the cowering servant, who immediately fell to his knees in contrition. This lowly one spoke poorly and deserves death. Madam, please return home. The young master's collapse has frightened the old master terribly. Only then did Bai Shinro's expression soften somewhat. She turned toward Chu Ying, who was rushing to her side with obvious alarm. Yinger! Mother, don't worry about elder brother. I'll handle everything. He will not die, or I'll have the entire Imperial Medical Bureau buried with him. Chu Ying grasped her mother's hands firmly. Bai Shinro relaxed slightly, tears gathering as she patted Chu Ying's shoulder before preparing to follow the servant. However, she paused upon witnessing my mother and me, continuing to dine with complete nonchalance. Luo Yunjin! Her voice carried venomous hatred. Who calls me? My mother looked around with apparent confusion before finally settling her gaze on Bai Shinro with evident surprise. Why haven't you departed? Didn't your son collapse? Shouldn't you hurry home to attend him? Why address me? You. Bai Shinro took a deep breath, closing her eyes before speaking again with forced control. My son fought courageously for our nation, falling unconscious outside the city walls. His life hangs in balance as he's brought back to the palace. As an elder, as a general's wife, where is your conscience? How can you show no concern for my child who protects our homeland? How dare you continue dining here with such callous indifference? Her words tumbled out in a torrent of righteous indignation that nearly caused her to faint from fury. The Minister of Revenue's wife and other allies of Bai Shinru seized this opportunity to criticize my mother, their faces alight with sycophantic fervor. Oh, are you certain the person carried into the palace is truly your son Chu Feng? Wasn't he assigned to frontier duty by His Majesty? Perhaps my memory fails me. Returning to the capital without imperial orders constitutes desertion under fire, a capital offense. My mother's casual tone delivered surgical precision to the heart of the matter. Bai Shinro's eyes widened in sudden horror. She whirled to grasp the messenger eunuch's collar. Did you see clearly? Are you certain the person brought to the palace is my son Chu Feng? There can be no mistake, madam. The guard captain was General Chu Feng's childhood friend. He recognized him immediately. Bai Shinro's body trembled violently before she collapsed unconscious. Chu Ying rushed to support her mother, ordering nearby servants to summon imperial physicians immediately. The banquet dissolved into chaos. As we departed the imperial garden, I felt persistent observation from behind. Turning, I caught Chu Ying's venomous glare burning into my back. My mother and I reached home by mid-afternoon. Expecting to find my father and brother finishing their meal and retiring for afternoon rest, we instead discovered them seated formally in our main hall, where steaming dishes clearly prepared by my father's own hands awaited us. I had Moore calculate your return time. His estimate proved remarkably accurate. I finished preparing these dishes just as you arrived. My father rose with evident pleasure, taking both my mother's hand and mine to guide us to the table. Palace food is hardly fit for human consumption, everything cold or tough. How could it compare to home cooking? You certainly didn't eat your fill, did you? My father's concerned expression prompted me to touch my rather satisfied stomach while silently accepting his offered chopsticks. Father, surely you and brother haven't been waiting all this time without eating. I noticed their pristine bowls and utensils with some alarm. No matter, your brother is a grown man. Missing one meal won't kill him. My father's dismissive comment drew a distinctly exasperated look from my brother, though when our eyes met, he resumed his usual gravity with a confirming nod. I buried myself in the meal before me. My brother, 8 years my senior, had supervised my education during childhood, frequently disciplining my inattention with palm strikes. His customary stern expression still inspired a measure of caution in me. My father treated me like precious porcelain, while my mother's threats rarely materialized due to her own tender heart. Only my brother had ever truly punished me, and those punishments had genuinely hurt. Despite my father's culinary excellence, I managed barely a dozen bites before losing appetite entirely. My mother faced similar difficulty, setting down her chopsticks with visible regret at the table full of delicacies. I should never have eaten so much at that banquet, just to spite Bai Shinru. This confession amused my father greatly. If you cannot finish, don't force it. Since my wife enjoys my cooking, I'll gladly prepare not just lunch, but all 3 daily meals going forward. My father's playful tone brought color to my mother's cheeks. Noticing my brother and me observing, she immediately adopted serious demeanor, discreetly pinching my father while redirecting conversation to pressing matters. More, Chinger and I witnessed two delicious comedies today, both Chu sons, one injured and one mad, precisely matching recent capital rumors about you and your father. Did you orchestrate these coincidences? My mother fixed my brother with penetrating scrutiny. I joined her in studying his expression intently. Those two worthless silk pillows from the Chu family hardly merit my personal attention. My brother spoke as casually as if discussing insects, never pausing in his eating. However, faced with our burning curiosity, he released a resigned sigh, setting down his chopsticks to elaborate. During Chu Feng's time in the capital, he spent every night in pleasure quarters, abandoning what little martial skill he'd acquired in youth. He possesses no genuine battlefield capability whatsoever. A mere arrow wound to the shoulder reduced him to theatrics, demanding immediate return to the capital. What began as minor injury became serious through his own malingering. Blame his family's excessive indulgence for creating such a character who would actually commit desertion. As for Chu Ji, a coward who cannot bear to witness chicken slaughter, yet insisted on claiming my position as deputy minister. Upon assuming office, his desperation to save face and undermine me led him to investigate the evil spirit murder case immediately. I anticipated he would be frightened, though I underestimated the severity. Complete madness provides you both additional entertainment. Regarding the capital's rumors, I remain ignorant. Ask father about those. My brother resumed his methodical eating, while my mother and I turned expectant gazes toward my father. My father covered his face with a light cough. Seeing Chinger mistreated filled me with grief. When frontier reports arrived describing Chu Feng's overnight flight back to the capital, I arranged for false rumors to circulate, allowing the Chu family brief elevation before their inevitable fall from grace. They'll suffer appropriately. Though my father concluded with some satisfaction, my mother's fury exploded. She threw down her chopsticks entirely. Since Chu Feng has already returned, we could simply await the comedy. Why curse yourself and Moer as well? Do you imagine I don't suffer enough hearing daily talk of your imminent deaths and madness? Wife, please don't be angry. I didn't intend such consequences. My planning was inadequate. My father immediately apologized, attempting to embrace my mother only to be pushed away firmly. Unable to comfort her directly, my father looked to me pleadingly. His pitiful expression melted my resolve, and I coaxed my mother back to her seat. My father quickly moved closer. Wife, hear my complete explanation. Beyond humiliating the Chu family, my primary goal was identifying allies and enemies. With rumors spreading of our family's decline while the Chu family enjoys prominence, those ambitious fence-sitters cannot resist revealing themselves. Today at the banquet, with your sharp perception, you surely identified every person who kicked us while we were down, didn't you? My father's gentle coaxing gradually improved my mother's expression, allowing him to continue. The fault lies entirely with me. I forgot proper considerations. If wife wishes to vent her displeasure, strike me, I promise, complete silence. My mother remained silent, head bowed in apparent continued anger. My father seized her hand, guiding it toward his own face, shocking my mother into immediate withdrawal, but too late to prevent a light contact. "What are you doing? The children are watching!" My mother scolded with embarrassed indignation. Wife need not be angry. We can continue this in our chamber later, where wife may punish me as she sees fit. My father's shameless words and burning gaze brought heat to my own cheeks. Shameless. My mother withdrew her hand with a heavy stomp on his foot, though her improved expression suggested her anger had largely dissipated. As my father prepared to sit beside my mother, she slammed her hand on the table. I have questions for more. How can I ask with you blocking my view? My father immediately retreated to one side like a chastened wife, awaiting my mother's interrogation. More, you've always enjoyed investigation work, and that deputy minister position represented years of careful planning. Now that you've been dismissed, what are your future intentions? My mother inquired. Mother need not worry. I have alternatives available. My brother's confidence was absolute. Observing his certainty, my mother asked no further questions. His strategic thinking had always exceeded our combined capabilities. And you, will you truly never return to the frontier? My mother addressed my father. While I want you home with us, you've protected those border people for over a decade. Each annual return finds you still concerned for them. Today's confirmation of Chu Feng's shameful desertion surely creates chaos there. Aren't you worried? Her words carried complex emotions. I want you to intervene, yet don't want you to intervene. Thinking of you defending Qinbai's realm angers me, but your absence might cause you lasting regret if disaster strikes the frontier. Wife requires no such concerns. My father smiled, taking her hands while glancing at my worried expression to pat my head reassuringly. Chinger need not worry for father either. I have someone maintaining frontier security in my stead. My father stroked his beard with evident satisfaction in his chosen replacement. Who? My mother asked with curiosity. Prince Bei's heir, Qin Yi. Him? My mother showed surprise before relaxing considerably. If he's there, you needn't return. This arrangement seems ideal. Qin Yi? That name sounded familiar, though I couldn't place it despite considerable mental effort. I abandoned the attempt. Mother, since you knew nothing of Chu Feng's injury and unauthorized return, how did you speak so confidently against Bai Shinro at the banquet? I harbored lingering curiosity about this point. I had assumed my mother had extracted information from my father the previous evening. Setting aside your brothers, never making unfounded statements, even without certainty, I refuse to yield ground to Bai Shinro. She'll never suppress me in this lifetime. Impossible. My mother's cold laughter carried absolute conviction. Suddenly remembering something, she stood immediately. Yes, yes, heaven truly does see all. I must purchase offerings for tonight's proper prayers of gratitude. My mother departed with characteristic decisiveness. My father followed, only to be turned away at the door. Aren't you supposed to be suffering from chronic illness? Appearing in public now would expose you to accusations of deceiving the emperor. I could disguise... Silence! I'm counting to 3. If you remain in my sight, you're banned from my chamber this entire month. Before my mother finished speaking, my father had vanished entirely. After my mother's departure, our courtyard fell silent. I sensed persistent observation from behind and turned to find my brother studying me intently. Brother? Prince Bei's heir, he said meaningfully. I looked at him with confusion. Seeing my blank expression, something flickered in his eyes. Nothing. Return to your room and play. How desperately I wanted to shout in his ear that I had already reached the age of majority. News of Chu Feng's desertion from frontier duty spread rapidly. Virtually every military official submitted joint memorials condemning him and demanding Qinbai's stern punishment. Yet somehow, through Chu Ying's influence, Qinbai dismissed the matter with mere 3-month house arrest. This decision infuriated military officials beyond measure. They called him incompetent, branding even Chu Ying as a ruinous consort. Though such criticism remained private, its underground nature, combined with soldiers' characteristically crude language, made the insults particularly vicious. Civil officials proved equally ruthless, their memorial submissions falling like snowflakes into the palace. While never directly condemning the emperor and empress, their subtle implications reduced both Qinbai and Chu Ying to cowering humiliation. Chu Ying reportedly refused to leave the palace gates, while Qinbai, unable to avoid his imperial duties, endured constant pressure with increasingly dark expressions. Palace servants whispered that his study required multiple daily replacements of tea sets, as vessels rarely survived his outbursts. As for Chu Ji, his condition appeared genuinely severe. Household staff reported he accosted everyone in their courtyard regardless of gender, addressing them as father. Everyone except his actual parent, driving Minister Chu to literal blood-vomiting rage. Minister Chu ordered his son restrained, while imperial physicians suggested gradual treatment, perhaps eventual self-recovery if he found internal resolution. The capital buzzed with Chu family gossip. Bai Shinro initially continued managing her commercial interests, but eventually withdrew into complete seclusion, remaining hidden for nearly a month. My mother benefited considerably from her rival's absence. Without fierce competition, her businesses flourished, while her daily mood remained remarkably cheerful. Madam, the Minister of Revenue's wife has arrived. She waits outside, requesting audience. During afternoon practice with my father in our courtyard, our steward appeared with this announcement. My mother paused her tea drinking beneath the garden pavilion, frowning at this news. What does she want? She claims to offer personal apology to you, madam. Apology? My mother's derisive laughter rang clear. Truly the sun rises in the west today. Since Bai Shinro no longer provides entertainment, and I've been rather bored lately, admit her. I'm curious about her schemes. The steward departed to comply. Shortly afterward, the Minister of Revenue's wife followed him into our courtyard. My father had withdrawn to his chambers upon the steward's departure, leaving me to accompany my mother. The woman entered with such effusive smiles, her eyes nearly disappeared. Less than a month apart, yet Madam's complexion grows ever more radiant. She immediately gushed praise while noticing my presence. And your daughter. Oh my, such a lovely face. She inspires instant affection. She not only flattered my mother, but grasped my hands in elaborate admiration. State your business directly. My mother removed the woman's hands from me, her expression cold and forbidding. The Minister of Revenue's wife's face darkened momentarily, though she suppressed her reaction and quickly restored false pleasantry. My past offenses toward Madam were inexcusable. I acknowledge my wrongs. Your magnanimity surely exceeds my petty nature. Today, I come primarily at my husband's direction. The Revenue Ministry wishes to borrow funds from your establishments. Rest assured, borrowed money will be repaid with interest after next year's tax collection. This isn't charity we're requesting. Her deferential posture and humble tone prevented my mother from maintaining initial hostility. Borrowing money? For what purpose? While frontier conflicts strain the treasury somewhat, surely it doesn't require loans from merchants like myself? My mother questioned with evident confusion. Your observation is correct, the woman agreed, glancing around to ensure privacy before continuing. His Majesty wishes to renovate and expand southern imperial residences for next spring's planned inspection tour. My mother's frown deepened. No money available, loan denied. How can you claim poverty, setting aside your family wealth? Your capital establishments alone generate substantial profits. The woman's urgency betrayed rising irritation. My mother regarded her with growing amusement. All my earnings purchase clothing and jewelry. You witnessed my spending habits at the palace banquet. I never save money. My mother's shameless fabrication never caused her to blink. Speaking of which, why approach me instead of Bai Shinro? Only then did I realize my mother remained unaware of recent gossip. During her inspection of suburban properties, Bai Shinro and the Minister of Revenue's wife had suffered a dramatic falling out. The Minister of Revenue's wife had reportedly criticized Bai Shinro while attempting to ingratiate herself with other social circles, unfortunately within Bai Shinro's hearing. Bai Shinro's subsequent seclusion had begun immediately afterward. Observing the woman's increasingly dark expression, I quickly whispered this information to my mother, who raised an eyebrow before regarding our visitor with obvious disdain. The Minister of Revenue's wife could no longer maintain her artificial smile. Luo Yunjin, what kind of look is that? Regardless of circumstances, I remain the wife of a third-rank official. How dare you treat me with such contempt? Contempt? I should be cursing you instead. My greatest hatred is reserved for two-faced people. If you hadn't betrayed Bai Shinru, I'd be mocking you right now. My mother's disgust was absolute. Close the gates and escort her out. I have no money to lend. Seek elsewhere. If you doubt my words, have the revenue minister report to His Majesty and request his personal appeal. My mother took my hand and returned to our chambers while the steward summoned servants to remove our unwelcome guest. Beginning his reign with thoughts of pleasure, I never recognized such character in him previously. If the late emperor's 6 sons hadn't all proven worthless, and if he hadn't been betrothed to you since childhood, your father never would have supported his succession. My mother's anger burned bright after reaching our chambers. I recalled the late emperor's final period when my father's and grandfather's backing had ensured Qinbai's remarkably smooth ascension. His 5 brothers, recognizing their hopelessness, had submitted without resistance, accepting their granted territories and princely titles with minimal conflict, perhaps the most harmonious succession struggle in recent dynastic history. 3 days later, my brother remained absent when our midday meal concluded. My father dispatched servants to search his usual tea houses without success. Well after our meal ended, my brother finally returned, his expression complex and troubled. After dismissing all household staff and securing our chamber doors, my brother addressed my father with unusual gravity. Prince Gong, Prince Ren, Prince Zhuang, Prince Rui, Prince Xian, all dead. What? My father's shock was profound, matching my own stunned reaction. These 5 princes were Qinbai's half-brothers. Yesterday I had reflected on their rarity as imperial sons likely to die natural deaths, yet today brought news of their sudden collective demise. Such coincidence invited suspicion. Additionally, Prince Bei, Prince Nan, these uncles of the late emperor have also perished, along with all their children. My brother's voice carried deep sorrow as he continued. Reliable sources inform me they had all been consuming longevity pills during this past month. These pills were created at the late emperor's command, supposedly extending life. The late emperor lived nearly 10 years longer than his predecessors. Someone spread rumors that extended consumption meant extended life, prompting them to begin taking these pills and giving them to their children. Within 1 month, all are gone. When His late Majesty died, his bedside held a box containing both pills and the preparation formula. Both passed to Qinbai. My father's expression grew increasingly somber as my brother concluded. Father, Qinbai cannot escape responsibility for this matter. If he's truly so ruthless, we must prepare accordingly. Your troops remain at the frontier, providing no immediate protection. Though your authority, military achievements, and grandfather's influence prevent open action against us, hidden attacks remain dangerous. My brother's strategic mind was working rapidly. My father nodded grimly, turning toward his study before stopping to address my brother again. What of Qin Yi's situation? Currently safe. Upon receiving frontier news, he's returned home for Prince Bei's funeral rites. We've sent word. Everything depends on his reply. My father relaxed slightly before departing. As my brother prepared to follow, his gaze fell upon me. "Are you frightened?" I shook my head. Truly worthy of the Yun family bloodline, his tone carried distinct echoes of my father's pride. "Shortly, visit mother at her shop and inform her of today's developments. Maintain normal vigilance without excessive worry." These princes' deaths mean Qinbai cannot move against us immediately without facing dynasty-ending consequences. He lacks such courage. In the capital, continue your usual activities. Play as you wish, strike anyone who displeases you, behave normally. Should difficulties arise beyond your handling, seek your brother's protection. I nodded, understanding. Observing my composure, my brother released an unexpected soft laugh, approaching to pat my head gently. That large hand settling on my crown rendered me motionless, as though he'd found a crucial pressure point. Fortunately, the contact lasted only a moment before he withdrew and departed. I touched my chest, finding my heartbeat not only faster than usual, but somehow warmer as well. Following my brother's instructions, I immediately sought my mother at her shop. However, upon arrival, I discovered Bai Shinro present as well, accompanied by the Minister of Revenue's wife. Their close proximity suggested reconciliation. Sister Bai truly embodies patriotic virtue and selfless dedication, such righteousness. Unlike certain people who are merely money-obsessed upstarts reeking of commercial vulgarity. The Minister of Revenue's wife pressed close to Bai Shinro while directing contemptuous glances toward my mother. Bai Shinro smiled in apparent satisfaction with such flattery, though her arm maintained subtle distance, suggesting lingering reservations about their renewed association. Reports indicated Bai Shinro had donated half her family's wealth to the Revenue Ministry. Initially skeptical, I now recognized the truth of these claims. Her motivation remained unclear. "Oh, please, spare me such comedy, righteousness." The governor's wife, standing beside my mother, released a derisive snort. Nothing more than securing her daughter's imperial position. Without Bai Shinro's unrewarded donation inspiring imperial pleasure, my own daughter would have entered the palace selection today. Your interference ruined perfectly good Empress selection. You mother and daughter certainly demonstrate skill. The governor's wife's contempt was withering. "If you're capable, make your own donations. I choose to pave my daughter's path. What concern is that of yours? My daughter alone holds the Empress title while the imperial harem lacks any other concubines. Continue your disrespect, and I'll have my daughter request His Majesty transfer your governor husband to some remote wasteland." Bai Shinro's composure cracked under a month's accumulated frustrations, her response lacking her usual dignity. Oh my, such arrogance. A family risen from fifth-rank obscurity without foundation dares threaten me? Go ahead, make your daughter's request. I'd welcome such conversation. Let's observe His Majesty's response. The governor's wife showed no fear whatsoever. Bai Shinro lunged forward, attempting hair-pulling, but the governor's wife, both taller and stronger, pinned her opponent down instead. After brief struggle, bystanders separated them. Bai Shinro covered her face while pointing accusingly at her opponent. "You wait and see." She departed with the Minister of Revenue's wife's assistance after delivering this threat. The governor's wife remained beside my mother, exhilarated. "I haven't enjoyed such a fight in years. Absolutely refreshing." "Oh dear, I nearly forgot my purpose. Madam Yun, where are those new ornamental pieces your shop received? Please show me your selection." She turned to address my mother with renewed enthusiasm. My mother instructed staff to present 3 sets of the finest, most fashionable accessories, gifting them directly to the governor's wife. "It appears your conflict with her runs deep indeed." The governor's wife expressed surprise at such generosity. "Anyone who causes her displeasure brings me joy." my mother replied with genuine warmth. The governor's wife accepted without further protest, promising repeated confrontations with Bai Shinro whenever opportunities arose. After her departure, observing my mother's lingering satisfaction, I inquired, "Why has Bai Shinro fallen to such pathetic circumstances? Anyone seems capable of trampling her now." While the governor holds second-rank position above her family's status, Chu Ying remains the empress. Though the governor's office ranks relatively low, his family represents one of the 5 great houses with substantial foundation. The core issue lies in Qinbai's self-destruction. Empress Dowager Chen Xian's family provided merely 5th-rank background without adding significant power. His betrayal of you eliminated your father's and grandfather's formidable support. Additionally, this year's abandoned consort selection prevented great families' daughters from entering the palace, removing potential ministerial backing. He lacks reliable associates. While the governor's wife wouldn't dare directly challenge His Majesty, dealing with Bai Shinro remains well within her capabilities. Given Qinbai's current circumstances, even if he wished to punish such established nobility for Chu Ying's pillow talk, he simply lacks the power to do so. My mother's analysis proved illuminating. After absorbing her explanation, I noticed her already heading toward our carriage for the next shop inspection. Suddenly remembering my brother's instructions, I hurried after her. In our carriage, I quietly informed my mother about the longevity pills incident. Rather than the shock I expected, she immediately grew excited. "Earning money! Focus on making money!" My mother's eyes blazed with enthusiasm. With Bai Shinro donating half her assets to the Revenue Ministry, her liquid funds must be extremely limited. These coming days, I'll systematically undermine her remaining businesses, perhaps acquire them at bargain prices. "Mother, did you understand what I just told you? Did you hear correctly?" Her reaction left me somewhat bewildered. "Certainly, foolish child, Qinbai can only employ underhanded tactics against us. As the saying goes, money makes even ghosts dance. Soon I'll hire accomplished martial artists for protection through your brother's contacts, plus poison specialists and miracle doctors. Should Qinbai dare move against us, I'll demonstrate who eliminates whom first." My mother slapped her thigh decisively. Truly, only someone capable of managing my father, the great general, could display such courage. I suddenly realized my family's intelligence ranking required revision. Previously, my elder brother, my father, my mother, myself. Now I suspected my mother and I should exchange positions. However, the focus on earning money was absolutely correct.